Hi, how are you? I'm Cled from All Graphic Supplies. Today I've got some really exciting stuff to show you. I'm going to show you some of our digital label production solutions. And so we're going to do this as a live demonstration. So come with me and we're going to do this for you just now and show you how a small piece of equipment with a finisher is going to allow you to do some pretty amazing things when it comes to on-demand print and cut finished labels for customers who, in a situation as we are in right now, are looking for this product for all kinds of applications such as fruit juices, food products, supplements, stickers and decals for safety, and a whole bunch of other things. So if you want to come with me, let's go ahead and we'll do a small project. Okay, come along. So today we're going to introduce you to the Trojan label T2C, which is a very compact, small desktop, we'll call it a tabletop machine, that is using water-based dyes and a memjet printhead technology, as well as a whole bunch of other very, very amazing and convenient and efficient technologies that will allow us to literally be able to print a whole bunch of labels here. And then what we're going to do then is we're going to take it over to this other machine over here, which is called the ADSI iTech Talon, which is a finisher. And this machine is going to allow you to very quickly place your finished printed roll here. You can laminate if you choose to laminate it. It's going to cut it. It's going to remove the matrix. And in addition to that, it's going to be able to slit it down to narrower, smaller rolls, such as something like this, that you can supply and sell to your customers. So we're going to go and get ahead with that. And I'm going to show you a quick demonstration. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to come to a design that we have created over here. This design is actually one that we use for demonstrating a specific material type that we sell. This is polypropylene. We have polypropylene, matte and gloss. We have paper as well as PET, as well as some other materials. But this is just a simple design, and it has been done in Illustrator. What's important here is in the design of this, in the setup of this design, there are two layers. There is a print layer, which you can see over here, and I can basically turn off the cut layer if I don't want to see it, and this is just basically the print layer. And then I can turn the cut layer back on, and you'll see there's a little cut line over here that is around the perimeter of each one of these labels. As well, if I turn the print layer off, you'll only see the cut line. Okay, so the cut line is basically where you would place the information that needs to be cut on the finisher. And then you'll notice also there's this little mark. It's called a smart mark. There is a mark on the actual cut layer, and then in the print layer you'll see that there's this black mark, which is what is again called a smart mark, but is used for the purpose of helping the finisher identify where a page starts and ends, if you will. All right, so what's important is in the cut layer, if you double click on the cut layer, you must ensure that the cut layer has not got printing checked. So that means it should not be checked, it should be off, and it should be like so. And that's a very important aspect. Okay, so to begin printing, we're first of all going to have to set up the printer, and we're quickly going to do that, and we're going to run a small project with you right now. Okay, so the printer is literally this device here. What's great about it, it comes with these 2-liter ink of this machine, one called the T2C standard and one which is called the T2C volume press. Volume press is a similar machine, just a slight changes. It allows you to use inks at a slightly lower cost, especially if you're a more commercial operation. This particular unit that I'm demonstrating to you today is the T2C standard. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this roll, which is what we would call polypropylene white gloss, and we're basically going to place it right there and very quickly into the printer. And as soon as you place it in the printer, we have kind of a mark over here that kind of helps us know that it's reached the end, and I generally will crank it up and make it nice and tight. And then the next thing is I'm going to show you how to load this. Very simple, very fast. Okay, so I'm just going to open up this cover, which is where you have access to the print head and things like that, but more importantly, it just gives you access to be able to see what's going on. So you'll see this roller here. We're just going to slide it through. And then if you look inside the machine, there's also a kind of a label sensor if you need to use that. But in this case, we're running continuous paper. And we're going to slide this right through. This is called a nip. You'll see this roller that I'm going to point to over here. This is called the nip. It's like a nip roller. It pinches the material and ensures that it's going through the machine properly. And then I'm just going to wind it through here and across over and underneath this roller here, and I'm going to bring it to this side. I'm going to take one of these cores, which is the same width as the roll that I have on this side, and I'm just going to slide it in. Again, place it all the way to the back as far as we can go. And I'm just going to get some masking tape here, which I have, and we're quickly going to load it. Okay, so you go ahead, take your piece of tape, and you basically will line this up as close as you can to this. Make sure this is nice and tight, and line this up. And as soon as you line it up, you can simply tape it. That's what I do. Make sure I go across the width, if you will. And then I'll close this cover because I don't need to have access to that. Make sure that everything is straight. You'll notice that it's kind of like this. I normally wind it a couple of turns just to make sure that it's nice and straight like that. And then you'll see there's something over here saying nip open. And that basically means that we've not pinched the material. When I go ahead and I close the nip, you'll see it changes to not calibrated. That means the material has not been set up yet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to calibrate the web. And you'll see it go through the calibrating process where it'll advance the material back and forth a little bit. And this will just to establish that the roller is being calibrated between the front and back so that it is ready to print. As soon as that is done, it's a pretty quick process. It'll say ready, as you can see here. You'll see it's online. It's telling us at this point in time that we're using continuous paper. That is preset, but in this particular case, that's what we're running. And so we're now pretty much ready to print. Before I do that, I normally kind of just forward the web a little bit, just in case I want to see if there's any errors. And at this point in time, I would say we are ready to print. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the job library. This is where you can see jobs that have been previously done, as well as any new coming jobs. So quickly, we're going to go back to the computer now, and from the computer, we're going to, or from Illustrator, we're going to go ahead and send this job. Okay, so let's do that. All right. So here we are, we're back at this design, and so remember this had two layers. You've got your print layer, if you want to do that, just your cut layer, and then you have the print layer, which is there, and we're going to print it now. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to the file menu, you're just going to click on that, you're going to go to print in the print menu and click on that, and you'll see this dialog box show up. It's pretty standard Windows print dialog box. You're going to go into the setup, and what's going to be important is that you choose a media size that is the exact same size as this document. So in this particular case, I happen to know that this document size is 12 inches by 8.5 inches. In most cases, we use about 12 inches as our page size, just because this particular printer prints in either 6 inches per second or 12 inches per second. So just for calculations perspective, we can quickly estimate how many decals or stickers or labels we get in a page and go from there. So in this case, we hit preferences, and over here you're going to choose your page size. If you've not created a page size like this in the past for this specific paper size, you can go into custom size and you can say 8.5 by 12. In this case, somebody named this 12 by 8.5. We're going to call it 8.5 x 12, and we're going to save it. Okay, and now it's in inches, as you can see, and then we're going to say okay. So there are 5 things that are very important over here for our particular purpose to do. And so one of the things is this particular design is in a landscape format. We're going to rotate it 180. The reason is because this little black mark, if you do not rotate it 180, when it comes out of the printer, will go into the roll, and we want it to be coming out of the roll as the first thing, so we need to rotate it. You then choose your media type, and there's a series of different profiles. This particular material is called Super Premium High Gloss, and then you choose your page size, and then you have two speeds. One is 6 inches per second or 12 inches per second. If you want to go very fast, 12 inches per second is very good. If you want great quality, it's still very, very fast at 6 inches per second. That's what we're going to choose for this demonstration. You hit OK. So these are the 5 things: landscape, rotate, the type, the size, and your print quality. You say OK, and you hit print. So before you send it to print, you do not need to establish copies here, simply because you would do that in the printer. So then you hit done, and then that has accepted all the parameters that you've selected. And then next thing you're going to do is you're going to go File, hit Print again, and you'll notice that everything's been set up here. You've got a document that's 12 by 8.5. Media is 8.5 by 12. I guess I typed it in the wrong way. Doesn't matter. And we're now ready to print. And if I was to hit print, we're going to see that this file will be received by the Trojan T2C printer. So I'm going to hit print, and let's move over. And when you see that, you'll quickly go into this area and you'll see receiving print job showing up. And when it does, show up in my print queue. All right, so at this point, all I'm going to do is I'm ready to start printing. This machine very quickly on the control panel allows me to see a variety of different icons. In this case here, you've got your print button, and here you have a choice to choose how many copies you want to print. So just to demonstrate how we would set up the job, I normally run a couple of prints or pages to just check that everything is running okay. I'm going to hit 3 in this particular case, and then I'm going to hit print, and you'll see this print. Now this is using a Memjet single bass print head, and you'll see that it's printing at 6 inches per second. So we're ending up, in this particular case, having 18 labels be printed in a very, very short time. You'll notice the printer will begin printing right away, and you will see the labels coming out of the printer. All right, so in this case, I'm going to establish that everything is in order, everything seems okay for me, and if I'm happy with that, then I'm ready to go ahead and run this job. So for the purpose of this demonstration, there are 6 of these labels on a single page. We're going to run something like 20 pages. So we're going to have 6 times 20 is 120 labels at the end of this presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to choose not 120 here. I say 20. So I'm just going to hit here 20 pages, hit accept, and I'm going to go ahead and print. Okay. So very quickly, we're printing 120 of these labels, and it's going to take us, as I said, 20 pages. It's going to take us 40 seconds because we're printing at 6 inches per second. Okay. So here we go. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm also going to send another job, which is going to run this at 12 inches per second. And then we're going to finish them very quickly. I love this solution because it's very compact, and today people want labels on demand. And so this system will basically allow you to print onto a variety of different label types for different applications in different sizes, and you're able to turn these jobs out in very short time. So this is going to be printing 20 pages, and that's pretty much it, and it's done. So I wanted to show you that speed, and now I'm going to go and change one more thing back in the design, and we're going to run the next speed just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So go to print. If you remember, we opened up this page. Go to setup, and you go back to preferences, and instead of 6 inches per second, the only other thing we're going to change here is 12 inches per second, just to give you an idea of what the speed looks like. And I hit print, hit done, and then I'll go back to here. I'll hit print, and I'm just going to send the one copy over, and you'll see that we will now be able to print at the next speed. If you'll come over here, you'll see it receiving the job, and generally it'll show me this is my last job. That's the one I would go ahead and print. Okay, so if I can't see it, I generally go to the last page. That's my last job. It's where it's at. And in this case here, I'm just going to print, we'll say 5 pages, hit accept, and you'll see it now running at the higher speed because this was set to 12 inches per second. Okay, so go ahead, and you can see it very quickly, and you'll like it because for some applications, simple stickers, for safety signs where color may not be as specific, but you do want still very good quality. You can see how fast that prints at 12 inches per second, and you've got an additional kind of 5 pages printed, which in this case is 5 times 30 labels. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut it. Okay, so you'll notice that the printer is doing some stuff, but there's ways to move it. There's a bunch of different menus here, which I'll show you in a subsequent video. But we're just going to go ahead and forward this material so that we can take it out of the machine. So the idea is to run a variety of different jobs before you take it out. Hit stop and release web. Okay. At this point, we basically have no tension, and we can go ahead and cut off the material very quickly, as you can see over there. And now you can take this roll of material, we're going to open up the core, and we're going to bring it over very quickly and flip it around. If you remember, we did a 180 rotation on the cut, and we're going to put it into this machine here, and we're going to tighten this up. And I'm going to show you how to web this machine very quickly. It takes a very, very short time. You're going to love it. So let's do this. You go ahead, you put this right through there, okay, very quickly. And you're just going to roll it down. Okay, and one of the little techniques I use to ensure that it goes in smoothly is I pull it around the bottom and I line it up back with the roll again. Okay, so if you want to come and see that, I just want to show you how I line it up so that it's perfect and nice and straight. And I give it some tension, and while I'm doing that, then I can put down these nip rollers to kind of clasp it down and hold it, because that's part of the process of loading. Then the next thing is you'll notice these accumulators. They're two little bars, call it like dancer bars. And you basically can raise this up manually, and you're basically just going to run the material underneath this one bar and hold it. And at this point, I'm actually going to just kind of hold it here, you'll notice, while it's kind of hanging, and then I'll hit the load button. And you'll see that the material takes the load, okay? At this point, if I load it and raise it up and down, it kind of advances this. So I then have the ability to kind of push it right through here, which is under the pinch rollers, okay? And at this point, again, I make sure that this is nice and straight. It's not wonky. If you want to come here with the camera, you're going to see that this is straight. If this was not crooked, if this is crooked, you'll notice it's not as smooth as it is here. You want it as straight as you want. And then you can put the pinch rollers down. And once you have the pinch rollers down, you'll notice my hands are now free again, and I can advance this. Okay? So using this little joystick. There are some control features over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this material through. So I kind of had a little bit of waste material here, but it's not an enormous amount. The goal here is to have enough material so that you can bring it to the other side of the accumulator, the second accumulator, and wind this through. And you literally bring this to a point where it's kind of something like that. And I still have access to move it around. And when I'm happy and I'm seeing that this is straight, I can put that down and eventually it'll lock up, okay? So now we're pretty much ready to send our first cut, okay? And so I'm just going to advance the roll to the point where I reach, if you look in here at the top, close to the first smart mark, okay? And I'm going to bring it to the smart mark. And I'm just going to bring it to the very top right of it, somewhere in that spot. That's exactly where I need it to be so that it can identify the cutting of this job and this page, okay? So I then, while it's over there, I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the matrix removal as well as for the take up of the roll. So I generally recommend that you cut off a few of these kind of cores. I've cut these to 8.5 inches wide, and that'll be the same width of the roll. And I need one for the matrix removal, which I'm going to put here at the very top. I kind of line it up. There are some marks here, but you have to line it up so that it's straight. And then you need one on the bottom. Now on the bottom one, if it happens to be that you need finished rolls that are narrower than the 8.5, you'd need to pre-cut these cores to the size that you want, because you can use these slitter blades so that you can cut this down to a smaller size. So anyways, in this particular case, I'm going to make it so that it's all fitting on one size. So again, I'm just going to make this fit together. And what I generally will do is, to make the liner come off quickly onto here, I take this around, I flip it over, and I will basically peel the liner off at this point, okay? And I'm going to stick the liner to this core very quickly, pull this down, okay? And flip it down underneath. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to look at the edge of the roll and pretty much stick it down there like that, okay? So as smooth as I can get it on, better, you know, rather than crooked. And now you're good to go. And then this roll is going to come over this roller, and then I will stick this down to this particular material here. Rather than using masking tape to stick this, I generally use a label, because labels seem to have more kind of tackiness to them. This happens to be the same label that I'm printing, and these are some of the samples. And this basically will help me grab the material in a larger space and basically tighten this up, and I'm just going to wind it and place it there. Okay, so now I'm ready. These two winders are controlled by these controllers here. So this is one for the take up and one for the winder, okay, for the wind up. And now we're ready to start cutting. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come in over here, and you're going to go into the file menu, and you'll see this plugin that is installed when you install the ADSI Talon. And basically when you click on it, it'll show you the cut line, including the piece of the smart mark that'll be associated with the cut, and it should only show you items in here that are going to be cut and that are on that cut layer. As soon as you're ready, you're going to go ahead and hit the cut button, and it'll begin cutting. You'll see a status bar, and then the machine will basically identify the crop mark and begin cutting the labels. So it'll cut one label, and then once it's cut the first label, you will then be able to go ahead and send you know, all of the labels that you just previously set up in this particular demonstration to be cut. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is how you set up for the matrix removal to be most efficiently set up. There are some rubber kind of rollers here, which we act as fingers to help the material stay down, as well as if you needed to slit it, you can do that. So it'll only send one page. And at this point, I can choose how many copies I want. So I'll just hit copy. And in this case here, let's just say I wanted 5 copies. I hit enter, and it'll proceed to send the number of pages that I wanted to send to the machine. And now you're pretty much ready to go. And you know, you can pretty much walk away from this and work on something else. Okay, so in this particular case, what you're seeing is we're going to advance through this like a cooking show, of course, but as you can see of the samples that we were running, we ran 3 out of 5. It tells you on this screen where you reached, and it'll go ahead and you can adjust the force settings. You can also, under quality, you can choose whether you want more quality or more speed. All these are features that you can choose on this control panel. It's really quite a nice compact machine over here. All right, so we're now at 4 out of 5, and you know, for the purpose of running this job, we're going to you know, of course, speed it up, and that way we don't take too long. But as you can see, I went ahead, I printed on this device, I set everything up in my Illustrator, and now we're finishing, and I can go on to printing and doing some other work if I wanted to do that. So very quickly you can do, you know, many jobs per day. This video, if you were to look at it, it's probably going to take us to do these you know, stickers. Obviously cutting takes longer than printing, but on average if you had to do 1,000 stickers of you know, 1,000 of these where 6 were on a page, you'd be looking at approximately 166 pages, which could either take you 166 seconds to print that, or it would take double that, somewhere in the region of about, you know, 200, actually almost 320, maybe 330 pages, which is very, very fast. And what we're going to show you is that we've been now cutting for a little bit. And you'll notice that I added 20 more copies when we're on the 8th copy of 20. And again, you'll notice that if we've done our work properly, the mandrel should be taking up pretty well over here. This roll should be nice and taut and so forth. Now, remember I talked to you about slitting down the rollers? You can, when you buy the machine, you can get up to 3 of these in there, and you can simply kind of line it up to the center of the roll. And if you wanted to create a split here, you can split these rolls in half so that you can have each one be a narrower roll. And you can put as many of these, the accessories, into the machine. They're basically called slitter holders and slitter blades. And you basically, when you line it up, you simply would crunch it down there and it'll cut the line. It'll cut the roll in half. Now remember, in this particular case, I did not put a split core, but had this been split, I now can split these up, and I ended up with 2 rolls, okay? And it'll look similar to this narrower roll that I have on here, okay? So talking a little bit about material, we've got, you know, different types of material from matte to PET gloss. We got paper, and this is gloss paper. So those are some of the different materials that you can print. All right, so I don't think there's a reason for us to show you the end of this presentation for this particular thing, because there's other things that I need to show you. But of course, you can leave this and then go on to another project and start printing, and the cycle goes over and over. So I thank you very much for this presentation, and I'm going to show you some of this stuff. Thank you.